From Field Pass Hockey Southern Command, this is the Inside the SPHL podcast. Here is your host, James Hayes.
Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the SPHL. That's it, folks. The regular season's over. We're heading on to the playoffs, and got a loaded episode. Going to talk a little bit about the first round coming up and touch a little bit on last weekend's games. And I also got a couple guests for you. I got Alec Baer coming on a little later on, the guy that led the league in scoring this year. So that ought to be a good one. I think you guys will enjoy that. And but first off, I'm going to bring on old pal of the show, Joel Silverberg, live from the Knoxville Coliseum right now today. He's giving us a little background. That's awesome. How you doing, man?
This is where the postseason's going to get underway for the Ice Bears on Wednesday. So very excited about that. And yeah, doing good. It's been already been a very festive Monday for the staff here, just anticipating the start of the postseason. This is one that the fans are really looking forward to. Knoxville was in the playoffs last year, but limited capacity crowds. And so now everybody's very excited for what's happening this week. Yeah.
The ticket sales, you already know, are the games sold out yet?
Wednesday's not sold out. It's tough with it being a church night in the South. So it's going to be, tickets are still available, which we're excited about because we're trying to pump that out. But we were sold out on Saturday night for the regular season finale. So we're hoping that sort of crowd kind of drives interest for this Wednesday night.
Yeah, definitely. Winning hockey teams always bring in the crowds, and playoff hockey. I mean, if anybody out there is listening that's in the Knoxville area that hasn't went to a game this year, you need to go check it out because playoff hockey is like none other. So that'll be a good one. So I want to lead off. Let's talk. I don't want to leave out the teams that aren't going to be in the playoffs. So I want to touch a little bit on the teams from this last weekend. So Vermillion County closed out their season. They have a record they don't want any part of, but they broke Huntsville's record of 11 wins that they set a while back. They just had a rough year. And they had a rough last weekend. They lost 7-4 to Evansville, and they lost 7-1 to Peoria, and that was probably the 400th time they played Peoria. And the big story of the weekend there was the Zamboni driver was coaching the team, David Ayers. And I don't know a whole lot of details about what's going on there. I've had people ask me about Nick Niedert, and I know he's posted some own stuff. Check his Twitter feed out. I don't get involved in the day-to-day operations of teams, but kind of give me a quick rundown. Give me the overall thought process you have of Vermillion County's first season, I guess.
Well, my initial thought was I thought Niedert was trying to do everything he could to build a core, making a lot of trades, making a lot of moves. And now with him abruptly getting fired before the end of the regular season, I don't really know where Vermillion County goes from here. Now they're going to have to go through a coaching search, and with that means you're going to have to find a way to recruit guys quickly, depending on what the timeline is for that coach being hired. Like Macon last season, because of what happened over the offseason, Zach Desjardins really didn't have a whole lot of time to get recruits in and start building those connections. And that's really difficult in this league when it's recruiting based. It's not like you inherit a roster. Not if there's a coaching change, not all those guys necessarily want to come back. So for Vermillion County, you're planning on starting from scratch again for the second year in a row, and that could be difficult. So this is going to be a really big hire for Vermillion County on whoever's going to replace Nick Niedert. Yeah,
and maybe it's going to be Ayers, maybe not. I know there's a lot of rumors out there, but I try not to be a part of the rumor mill. But I think Ayers may be a guy that could bring, the name alone could bring some guys. But like you said, I mean, with the unknown is out there for them, and I hope they can get it, and I hope they can get it soon, because just like you said, and even with Vermillion County losing their coach at the beginning of the season, and it's just it doesn't work. I seen that firsthand with Birmingham last year with Simchuk only having a week to prepare. It's tough. So let's move on to Macon. So Macon also broke Huntsville's record. They had 10 wins this year, which Huntsville's was 11, and Vermillion County had 5. So we got 2 new teams in the top of that category that you don't really want to be in. But they had a good closeout at the Centerplex down there in Macon against Pensacola. They beat them 6-2 after being shut out the night before, and they lost a close one 3-2 2 nights before that. So kind of my thought process on Macon is I think they were building something. They're a very young team, and I mean, I don't know. I hope maybe Caleb Cameron comes back for him next year. I think that's a strong leader they have, and let's go from there.
I like a couple of the other pieces that Macon had this past season. A couple of former Knoxville guys, Cody Rogers and Zach Lambrecht. Lambrecht was the player of the week at one point this season back in January. So they have tools that they can work with. It's just a matter of tying together more loose ends, getting more guys to come in and continuing to build on the roster. And that's, I think, tough to do that from scratch with any first-year head coach and Zach Desjardins, as you mentioned. But what does his first full offseason look like? That's going to be the telltale sign of what Desjardins is for that organization long term. But I think he's got some pieces there that he can work with. He's not totally starting from scratch down in Georgia.
Yeah, definitely. I think they might have a little better upside than Vermillion County is looking at right now. So the last team that didn't make the playoffs, sitting on the outside, they made a rush towards the end there. They had a tough weekend against Huntsville. I thought they were going to get a split. They didn't. Huntsville shut them out 7-0, really beat them down. And then they beat them 4-2 on Saturday night. Rough up and down year for the Bulls. Lack of consistency. That's the way that I look at it. And I think the addition of Kerr towards the end of the season really helped them start playing a little better. I think just having an assistant coach was helpful. And I'm not taking anything away from Simchuk. I think he's done a good job with the hand he's been dealt. What do you take away from them this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you've got, if you take away Macon and Vermillion County, you've got 9 teams that have shown at one point or another this season that they can beat anybody on any given night. And Birmingham, to me, somebody's got to be in that number 9 spot. And so Birmingham, to me, is a team that has a lot of talent because I like what they have at goaltending. I like Hayden Stewart. I like Austin Lotz. I think both of those guys can rise to the occasion on a given night. I think offensively, Mike Davis, Russell Jordan, Carson Rose, I mean, those are guys that I think a lot of other teams in this league would like to have on their roster. But, I'm not really sure what the missing piece is. I think it comes more on the back end in that defensive core because you see Austin Lotz have great performances where he's giving up 3 or 4 goals in a game, but he's having to face over 40 shots. There's just too many games like that where Stewie and Lotz are having to just get peppered with pucks to try to keep their team in a game. And you can only ask a goalie so often to put up a 40-save shutout for you to keep you in a game against a Huntsville or a Peoria or a Pensacola or a Fayetteville. It's just really tough to do that on a night-in, night-out basis. So I think the defensive core, being able to have better puck management moving forward, there's probably a handful of things that I would imagine that Simchuk and Kerr are going to be looking at moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Special teams is another big part. They gave up more scoring chances against Huntsville while they were on the power play. And that's not the way. That's not the way you want your power play to go. But so that's it. Those 3 teams, their offseason starts now. They got nowhere really to go but up from here. I guess not. I guess a couple of them could go down, but everybody gets my point.
Yeah.
But let's head into what we got. We got our matchup set, schedule set. This is an exciting time of the year. Playoff hockey. I love it. I mean, I love the regular season, but this is just, it's a whole nother level of gameplay. And let's lead off with the Knoxville and Roanoke series. You guys are, as you mentioned earlier, starting it out on a Wednesday night. That's a tough night to start out to pack the house, but the teams are both going to be ready to go. Roanoke, they're a team, and I talked a lot about them last week, obviously, because I had Mitch on. They're a team that they're always in a game, and it just seems like the bounce goes the other direction. But they play tough. They've proven they can beat the top teams in the league, and they're one of those teams that I don't know if you really wanted to meet them in the first round. But on the other hand, Knoxville is just probably one of the best all-around teams. Broke the record for most wins in a season this year. That's a good record somebody wants to have. And, I mean, just the young scoring, huge hit with Waxen Ingback going on the season-ending IR. First, lead off with that and tell me how much you think that's going to impact the Ice Bears heading into the playoffs.
I think it's unfortunate. I know that everybody in that locker room would prefer to have Raz on the ice, and at the same time, I spoke to Jeff over the weekend, Jeff Carr, the team's head coach, and he was saying, look, we're not asking our players to do anything that we haven't asked of them all season. Back at the end of December, Knoxville lost Steven Leonard, Andrew Ballant, Dino Balsamo, and Stepan Timofeyev all in a span of about 48 hours to either call-ups or IR. And then 2 days later had to go to Huntsville to take on the Havoc in a big regular season road game. And so we're inserting Thomas Crabtree and Ryan Ramage, who are retired pros who are playing in men's league locally, here in Knoxville. And then we signed Brett Metton, who is kind of a journeyman this season for a couple of different teams. And so you insert those three guys out onto the ice. Knoxville goes out, and Evan Moyce making his debut with Knoxville. So Knoxville's third best goalie of the season. And you go into the Von Braun Center, and they found a way to come out and win that game in regulation. So I think Jeff is just kind of reminding his team, especially his captains, look, we still have a core. We have such a big core this season because Knoxville had so much line continuity that, losing Rasmus Waxen-Engback is hard. JB Baker's still on the IR. Taylor Stefishin is still serving a 3-game suspension that was handed down from the last time these two teams played. And so, despite all of that, I think Jeff Carr's really confident in the guys that he still has available for Wednesday night. So that's the biggest thing is, you hate it for Rasmus Waxen-Engback with everything that he's just been through this year with kind of getting delayed in his travel issues, getting over here from Europe, finally making it to Knoxville, joining the team, and then going through the season. It took him a while to get adjusted to playing with these guys. And so it was kind of a matter of, okay, when's his offense going to come up? When's his offense going to come up? Suddenly he just explodes. I mean, the latter half of the season, he was on a run at one point where I think he had 21 points in 13 games, something ridiculous like that. The guy was on a 9-game point streak going into April. Just a really talented player. And so Knoxville, hates it for him. I'm glad that he's still here. He's been put on the season-ending IR, so he's going to be with the team through the postseason, just not going to be dressed out and on the ice.
Well, that's good. That's good. And then it seems to me that Timofeyev's turned into a clutch player. It seems like every time I turn around, he's scoring that goal that the team needs. I mean, he got the game winner over the weekend. I mean, it's just I think he's going to bring a lot, in my opinion, to the team in the playoffs and be one of the reasons that I personally feel like the team's going to go a little bit further. But tell me a little bit about Roanoke. I mean, they're just one of those tough, gritty teams that they're going to hang in there the whole time. Tell me how do you feel about them facing the Ice Bears here in this first round?
It's probably the best 8 seed that I've seen in a long time for these 1-8 matchups. And I'm not just saying that because Knoxville's the team playing them, but if it's not for that 9-game losing skid, Roanoke is not an 8 seed. I mean, when I first joined your podcast a couple of months ago, we talked about Roanoke being the hottest team in the league. I mean, they were in that 5 spot running down Fayetteville and in a position to overtake Fayetteville for the number 4 seed. And then they suffered a couple of losses. It's like, okay, they're leveling out here a little bit. They've cooled off, but then they went ice cold and just did that at the wrong time. And if it's not for that, worst case, I think they're a 6 seed because I think you've got that sort of parity in the middle of the pack. And now you've got a discipline issue. Nobody had more penalty minutes in the SPHL than Roanoke did, but they are a gritty team with a ton of talent. Mac Jansen, CJ Stubbs, Jeff Jones, they've got those guys on those forward lines that are capable of putting up points. Matt O'Day and Travis Armstrong are excellent scoring defensemen. So they can do it from all over the place. They've been finding success with Sammy Bernard in net. And Austin Rodebush on a given night can stonewall anybody. So it's and I think Rodebush, Knoxville's goalie last year, I think he's out to prove something. He did not have the performance that he wanted in the first round of the playoffs last season. So I think you've got a couple of Roanoke skaters that are wanting to play with a chip on their shoulder. They've got talent in guys like Garrett Sargis. They've added some depth with recent additions. So I think, and they get Sean Leonard and Bryce Martin back from lengthy stints in the ECHL. They've got a ton of talent and a lot of depth. And they're a physical team. And Knoxville, a little bit beat up right now with Rasmus Waxen-Engback not being available and a couple of other guys being banged up. So, Roanoke's going to try to take the physicality to Knoxville. And sure, Knoxville went 5-2 against Roanoke this year, but 3 of those games were decided in overtime, a shootout, or the final 2 minutes of regulation. So it could have easily been 5-2 the other way. So this is going to be a gritty series. That Wednesday game is going to be huge for both teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen Knoxville's not afraid to play physical alongside any team that wants to. A couple of times they've come down to Birmingham. So I think it's going to be one of the more exciting series. I know you can't make a pick, but my pick is going to be Knoxville in 3 on that one. So with that said, we'll move on to the next one. Let's talk Peoria, Pensacola. Now this is a series that a lot of Ice Flyers fans aren't happy about. Not because they're playing Peoria, because it's going to be played in Birmingham at the Pelham Civic Complex, and that's where their one home game is going to be. So you got to believe that those Ice Flyer players are going to want to do some damage in there so that they can hopefully get back home and play a second-round game in front of their home crowd. Granted, Pensacola is not too far away, but still, that and it's on a Wednesday night. So you're asking your fans to travel up from Pensacola on a Wednesday night. That's going to be a tough one. But at the same time, Peoria doesn't have a fan base down here either. So I know there's going to be people there. I mean, Birmingham's got a good hockey following, so there will be people in the seats. It's going to be an interesting atmosphere for both teams, but I mean, Peoria, they were red hot for the longest time. They had a good weekend. They came off of a good weekend. They finished the season on a high note, but they've kind of, it almost seems to me like they fizzled out a little bit. Whereas Pensacola's just kind of stayed consistent. They've never went on a big win streak or a big loss streak. They've always just stayed consistent, and they can come from behind and win. They're one of those teams that you can be up on them by 3 goals and they'll come back. They don't care. They're not afraid of being down. They'll fight back. So how do you feel this series is going to go?
I think you can never really count out Rod Adolph in the month of April. That guy knows how to coach and knows how to structure his team the right way. I think lately they've been getting quality starts out of Cody Karpinski to give them a second option to Sean Kuhn, who I think Kuhn's elevated his game too recently. They had that 6-game win streak going through April, and before they had that 3-game series against Fayetteville, they dropped 2 of 3, but I thought they were really competitive in that series. And so to be able to get a win against Corey Melkert's team is no easy task. I think Peoria is going to be able to hit the reset button. I think Jean-Guy Trudel's squad is going to be ready to go. Marcel Godbout led all rookies in points this year, was one of the top goal scorers in the league. We've already talked about Alec Baer. Of course, Alec Hageman is a really talented player. So they've got the guys. And those back-to-back losses at home to Quad City, a lot of Peoria fans not going to be happy about that. But I think they're going to be able to hit the reset button, refresh, and get ready. What makes it interesting is that because of the distance between the two teams and that first game being played in Birmingham, it's not a home-away-home setup for Peoria. It's away-home-home. So if Pensacola finds a way, maybe, a Wednesday night, unorthodox schedule, you find a way to win that game in Birmingham, well, now you've got 2 chances on the road to just get 1 win. And so maybe that sorts things out in Pensacola's favor just a little bit. I still like Peoria a lot. So I'm not going to be too concerned if I'm Peoria about the way they ended the season. Would have liked a higher seed, still had an opportunity at the number 1 seed the last weekend of the season before that loss to Quad City. But, I think overall, I think Peoria is confident in the guys that they have.
I agree. And Peoria can score all over the place. Granted, a lot of those goals came against a Vermillion County team that's just struggled to stop goals from finding the back of their net. But still, I mean, you don't get that offense, you don't get those points by being bad at hockey. So they got great players. And in my opinion, I feel like Pensacola probably will get that first game. But I think once Peoria gets home, I don't know. I don't know if Pensacola can get it. That's one of my series is I don't exactly have a decision, but I'm going to give it to Peoria. And a lot of people will hate me for any of my predictions anyways, so it doesn't really matter on that. But yeah, it's going to be another exciting series because I think those two teams match up pretty well. Plus, you got a bunch of guys that won it with Pensacola trying to take out Pensacola this year. So that adds a little interesting storyline twist to the whole thing. So I don't know. I don't know how that one's going to go, but I have a feeling Peoria is going to go that way. I've talked to a couple of their players over this, on the podcast here, and they all know what it takes to get themselves out of this rut that they've been in by, falling out in the playoffs when they shouldn't, that first round exit against Roanoke a few years back. And they it's in the back of their mind, the guys that were there. And I don't feel like they're going to let it happen again. They're not going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs of the SPHL with first round exits. So yeah, with that said, I think now's a good time for me to send it over to my next guest, who led the league in scoring this year. And that's Alec Baer. So we'll send it over to him real quick. We'll do that interview and we'll come right back and we'll recap or we'll go over the last 2 playoff series. So my next guest is a St. Louis Park, Minnesota native who went on to play major juniors in the Western League with the Vancouver Giants, the Lethbridge Hurricanes, I'm going to screw this one up. We'll just say the Ice. And then after that, he took his talents to Rapid City to play with the Rush in the ECHL. He came to the SPHL in the 1920 season with the Evansville Thunderbolts before heading to Illinois to be part of the Rivermen. During the COVID season, he went down to Birmingham and played there for some time. And right now he's back right where he belongs with the Peoria Rivermen. This season, he's won the Kevin Swider Leading Scorer Award after he put up an impressive 80-point season, scoring 26 goals, 54 assists. He was just named the SPHL Warrior Hockey Player of the Month for March and April. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Alec Baer. Alec, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good, man. You guys nice and primed for a good playoff run?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, getting down a couple days early, getting some sun in us for sure, and getting ready to go to war.
Yeah, definitely up there. What's it like up there in Peoria when you got to go back and play the other games after this? Is it still snowing and cold up there?
Not quite. The snow's definitely melted, but it's been a little windy the past few days. So kind of nice to come out here for some sunshine and warm weather.
Yeah, it gets old in about July, I'll tell you that. Like I end up going to the rivers and I just jump in because that's the only place to cool down. So, but it's not bad. So let's talk a little bit about your career before you got to this awesome season you've had so far. Growing up in Minnesota, you played high school hockey there, and I've heard that it's everything everybody says it is. What was that like? How far did your high school hockey career take you? Did you get to go play in the state championships and all that?
Yeah, it was actually so my 8th grade year I played in a single A school for high school, St. Louis Park. I went there, got to play with my brother for a year, and then my freshman year of high school I went to Benilde St. Margaret's, who private school there, and we ended up losing in the game to go to state. We lost in the section finals to I think it was Wayzata, but so I was one step short of making it there. But yeah, it is everything you hear. It's a pretty awesome experience. I'll go and watch the games when I can, and yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's like I wish I grew up in an area where high school hockey was as awesome as it was, as it is up there. I mean, it's all football. Where I'm from Colorado originally, and it was all football on Friday nights there. And then now I'm down in Alabama, and obviously it's a football state. So nothing against that game.
Yeah. No, football's great, but I'm a little too small.
Yeah, me too. And I was too lazy. So, and the grades were never good enough in school. So I was never going to go that far. So what sent you to the Western League? I mean, you're kind of a traitor, man. What's up with that? No, I'm just kidding. So how did that opportunity come about?
I think it was just kind of my agent at the time. I got a really good opportunity just kind of got invited down there to watch a game it started with. And then, the next year, I think I was maybe 14, turning 15. I went to my first training camp, had a blast, did really well, and they kind of gave me you can before you're 16, you're able to play. I think it's like 6 games or so. So they gave me the opportunity if I wanted to sign, I could get my 6 games in early. And I think just kind of after watching a game and stuff, I was like, yeah, this is kind of something I want to do, and kind of a step in between, high school and like kind of going into pro hockey. It was like kind of that step I thought was good for me. I wasn't a big school guy ever, so kind of the perfect step for me to kind of almost start my pro career early. So just kind of the way you're treated, the way they play, their schedule.
Yeah. So how was the transition into playing major juniors in Canada from playing high school hockey? I mean, obviously you don't have to wear the full cages in juniors, but and there's a little more contact, I imagine. So was it an easy transition period, or kind of took a minute to get the hang of?
Yeah, I'd say it took a minute. I mean, obviously you have your 3 20-year-olds on a team, so you kind of have a few men that you're playing against, especially at that 15, 16-year-old age, kind of that growth spurt. You got 18, 19, 20-year-olds, but yeah, I mean, you obviously it's big when you have you got like first rounders, you got a lot of like NHL guys you're playing against, and then there's a kind of that drop off between those guys, and then your third and fourth lines that are more of like a top line you'd see in high school hockey back home. So
I gotcha. So you're saying that you were one of the top 2 lines? You were a top 6 forward?
Sometimes depends how I was playing, but
yeah. Well, I know when I was snooping your elite prospects in that first 6 games, I mean, you got 2 points in it. That's got to be pretty impressive coming in as a young kid. You had to make the coaches happy there.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that was a big thing for me. Obviously I'm not too big and stuff, but back when I was younger, I kind of been this size for a while, so I played a little more physical back then, but yeah, tried to just make an impact.
I hear you. And then did Vancouver end up trading you to Lethbridge in that 16-17 season? Is that what happened there?
Yep. So yeah, I was 18 at the time, and that was going to be our second year in a row not making playoffs. So they traded me to Lethbridge, who yeah, I mean we were stacked. We ended up losing in the conference finals to Regina, who was hosting the Memorial Cup that year.
I got
So they were completely stacked. But yeah, they kind of Vancouver was really awesome about it. They traded me to a contending team, and yeah, utmost respect for that organization. And
Who was the hardest player to play against while you were in that league that you can remember?
I mean, you got like personally, like I had Draisaitl was there, Barzal. You got like some of those superstars, but then for me as a forward, some of the hardest guys were like Shea Theodore. My early year was in Seattle. Madison Bowie was in Kelowna at the time. D-man. Matt Dumbo was in Portland. Some of those D-men for me as a forward were the hardest to play against, but sure, yes, some of the D-men on my team, they'd say the Draisaitl's and Barzal's.
Yeah. I mean, those are all big names that I don't know. I've never heard of those guys. Who are you talking about? So, no.
Yeah.
But cool. And then after that, you played another year with the team that I Kootenay.
Kootenay Ice, yes.
I couldn't say, and I even asked you before we started, and I just gave up on it. But you played a full season there, and you put up 61 points while you played there. That seems to have been a pretty good season for you. How'd you end up there? Lethbridge just didn't want you back, or what?
Yeah, I think it was. So that was my 20-year-old year. You're allowed 3 of them.
Okay.
And they kind of they didn't really know where their team was going. So then, I got traded at the start of the season to Kootenay.
Okay.
And then, they Kootenay actually moved to Winnipeg now. So they're the Winnipeg Ice, if that makes it easier for you. They
no,
that was their last year in Kootenay.
I gotcha. Yeah, I wish you would have played with them the next year. Then I could have said Winnipeg.
Yeah. So that was my 20-year-old year, and yeah, obviously my best year for sure. My last year before going into pro, and our team wasn't. I think we were the last team out of playoffs, but
I got you. Well, of course that was your best year. You were playing against a bunch of 15-year-olds. Now I take back all the nice things. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I get to play against all the kids now. Finally, I get to grow up.
But and then after that, you headed kind of a little bit down south to Rapid City to play in the Coast with the Rush. Was that an agent decision, or did the team contact you?
Yeah. So actually, it was since we didn't make playoffs in Kootenay. I right after the season, I finished the year out there. Rapid City, they were out of a playoff spot as well. So I think I got maybe like 7 or 8 games in with them before the end of the year, and then
you should have.
Yeah, so then I did pretty well, and then I ended up signing there the summer again and played a full year there as well.
I got you. How was it there when you got into the ECHL? I mean, your first pro game. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I'd say definitely a bit of a jump. Kind of after 5 years in the WHL, you don't get the same butterflies for games. So I kind of got those butterflies again. A new league, new opportunity, and stuff like that. So it was a blast, honestly.
Yeah, that team has a pretty big fan base up there too. I mean, there's not a whole lot to do in Rapid City. Well, in the summer I hear a lot of things, but in the wintertime, it's freaking cold.
Yeah, so it is. It's cold. It's a blizzard every day for sure.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about playing in front of that crowd. I've heard some pretty crazy stories from other guys that have played for the Rush about some of the fans there. You had anything like that, or were they just nothing but, or you just steered clear of them maybe?
Yeah, some of them you got to stay clear for sure, especially if you don't play well. But yeah, so my first year there, I think we were affiliated with the Wild, and then my next full year when I was there, I think it was they were not affiliated that year, so we kind of had the same core team. We didn't have as much movement going up and down, so the team was great. Yeah, and at home. Home was actually unbelievable. You know, the rink's amazing there. Get a pretty good crowd, and like you said, there's not much to do there, so a lot of people are crazy about the Rush. So
Yeah, definitely. And it's always a pretty competitive team. So I mean, they got that.
yeah.
But were you there? Was Logan Nelson there when you were there? I know he's there now, but he was there before, way back when. Was he there
No,
that year?
I just missed him. I was the year right after him.
I
But
gotcha.
I played with him. I was with him last year in Birmingham,
Yeah,
and then played against him in the Dub for a few years. And he's also
yeah,
from Minnesota as well, so know him from there. Our roads are always crossing, but
yeah,
always 1 or
exactly.
2 years late.
Every American hockey player is from Minnesota, I think it seems like, except Austin Matthews.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so after you did that season, the second season or the full season in the coast, you signed with Evansville. Was that a personal decision, or pretty much, or was there just not a lot of options up there? I know that's kind of a crappy question to ask a guy.
No, yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, it was. I actually signed with Rapid City again that year, and then out of training camp, ended up not making the team. So my agent at the time was good friends with the coach in Evansville,
Okay.
and at that time I was kind of just playing while I could play to get a call up, at that time, and then I think I played 2 games one weekend, and Jean Guy was all over the coach for a trade, and I think after that first weekend I got traded to Peoria, and
Yeah,
been here
well, I
since.
mean, it worked out. You spent a little bit of
Yeah,
time in
no,
Newfoundland too up there that year.
yep,
You played
yeah.
7
So that
games.
was that was the COVID year. I think played maybe 25 games or so in Peoria my first year, and then ended the year up in Newfoundland, and then
I
COVID
got
hit, and came back down to Peoria after the COVID year.
Yeah, it just that ruined everything that year. And then was with the craziness of the COVID season that last year. I mean, were you worried you maybe were going to have to sit a season out with seeing all these guys from the coast that were coming down to the SPHL and just the pure chaos, or did you kind of know you were going to find a home somewhere? I mean, you had a really good season with Peoria before it got shut down, and you were doing good up there in Newfoundland. I mean, walk me through
Mhm.
that off season signing time frame.
I mean, at that time I was hoping to get a coast deal, and then suits, a lot of teams started shutting down and saying they weren't going to play. So then, as the season started coming along quicker, I was kind of, getting nervous. Like, here we go. Like, teams are shutting down. Teams are making rules on how many guys they can carry. So then, I kind of shifted more towards, just finding somewhere to play in the SB, and Peoria wasn't playing, obviously, and then teams started dropping out of that as well. So I just kind of got on the phone with my agent, and actually, sorry, I called Jean Guy here, Peoria coach, and said, "Hey, like, is there any way you could help me get on a team for this year? Just whatever." I think the next day I had 4 of the 5 teams that were playing that year call me, and so it
Nice.
was so it was actually all him that kind of got me an opportunity to play. Like I said, I think I called him, and the next day, 4, if not all 5 teams that were playing gave me a call. So
That's
really
awesome. Well,
fortunate. Yeah.
I know the Birmingham fans were happy you decided to come down to Birmingham, because I mean, even though the
Hmm.
season wasn't that great for the Bulls, I mean, you've seen their fans and how passionate they are about their players. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure
Oh yeah.
Peoria is the same way,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a bad year. I mean,
Hmm.
it was a bad year team wise, but at least you got some
Yeah.
hockey in, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of injuries. Broke my leg the first game of the year there, so
Yeah.
I had a pretty bad luck injury wise. But I mean, I just like to kind of stay positive and say if I'm going to be banged up and injured, that was kind of the year to do it, just with all the messes and stuff going on.
Exactly. So yeah, that's never a good way to start the year out. I wasn't going to bring it up. I wasn't trying to bring up old
Yeah.
stuff. So,
No. Yeah.
but, but yeah. So you're back at it in this year in Peoria, and I mean, tell me a little bit about this season. You guys have just been rolling, really, and I've never seen a
Hmm.
team score so many goals. I mean, it seems like every time I turn around, you guys have 8 goals, and it's you, Godbout, Hageman. I mean, everybody's scoring goals, and I mean,
Hmm.
why? How is it possible that you guys are doing it?
I mean, I think it obviously starts with, having a coach of our caliber. He obviously knows the game better than a lot of people do. Kind of just has a really good read on people, how they act, how they are and stuff. So I think just kind of him giving us, whether it's confidence or kind of showing us how to do things and stuff. I don't know. I think it starts with confidence, and I think it comes from him and Hags, like you said. Hageman's been, he's kind of always been our rock. Past 2 years I've been here, he's, if the team's struggling or whatever, he'll go off, get 10 points in a weekend, and just kind of regroup the guys and stuff. So I think that's kind of what started this year. We kind of had a slow start, not many guys on the roster and stuff. I think we were maybe like a 500 team to start. Then he was player of the month. I don't know what month it was, but he went off, and then it kind of just started it for me. And then Marcel as well followed with the scoring.
Yeah, it's just it's been crazy. So what's that locker room like? I mean, you guys got a lot of characters in that locker room. I mean, I know Dion's been out for a while, but you guys just brought Kolzicki in, or Kolcheski. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what he's going by up there. In Birmingham, It was Kolzicki, Knoxville, Kolcheski.
It always changing, yeah.
But I mean, you got a lot of personalities in there, and I mean, Hageman's a personality too. I've had him on the podcast, and I mean, I know he's a guy. I mean, who's the guys in the locker room, or is it you? Are you the guy in the locker room that's clowning with everybody?
Yeah, I'm the clown probably. I'm kind of the funny one, I like to think I'm funny at least. I kind of had to step in for Dion. I think that was one of his roles too. It's kind of keeping it light in the room, and with him gone now, he's our assistant coach now, so we can't do as much clowning around. But I think we have a lot of guys that are play better when they're loose, and then I mean, our coach Guy's always saying let's be positive. Most importantly, have fun, like get to play hockey for our job. So most of the time we're just loose and happy, and then every once in a while Hags gets a bit grumpy, but. It's just, that just comes with his age, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. That's a hockey thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of my job. Cheer him up when he's grumpy. So
that's good. Just give him a little pat on the back and be like, "It's going to be all right, buddy. It's going to be all right."
Exactly.
So I mean, this has been kind of an odd season schedule wise, and I mean, I've said it before on the podcast. It's obviously because a lot of teams didn't play, and it's the league's way of trying to help players or teams recoup, by not making them travel too much. So you guys have played Quad City, Evansville, and Vermillion County almost every single other week. It seems like. What's that like? Is it almost like last year? I mean, I know you didn't play the whole year last year, but does it almost feel like last year where it is only 5 teams in the league?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, gets tiring, seeing some of those faces so many times on those teams. But it was, it was kind of spread out for us too. Like we'd have a month where we only played quad and VC, and then next month we don't see them at all, and then the next month it's them all again. So I think it's good. It kind of creates that rivalry, but at the same time, it's like we got Pensacola now. We haven't seen them yet this year, so I think it'll be a fun series. Kind of see some new faces and
definitely
see some new systems for once. Yeah,
definitely. What's that like planning for a team? I mean, this is the playoffs. Usually you've played everybody. What's that like game planning for a team you haven't really faced? Just a lot of tape? Is that what coach is making you guys do?
Yeah, exactly. Just tape, and I mean, we have 4 or 5 guys that won it with them last year in Pensacola, so a little inside from them and stuff. But yeah, mostly just tape, and at the end of the day, kind of us playing our game, and I think that'll be most important.
Yeah, so Hags is giving away all the secrets, is what you're saying. He's like, so this exactly, is what, exactly. But well, that's good. So let's move on to your regular season award. How much does the scoring title this year mean to you, or is it just something you're like, yeah, well, it was there, but there's a bigger goal in mind? I mean, if I won the scoring title, I'd be gloating about it to everybody in the locker room all the time. I'd be like, yeah, I did better than you. But that's why I don't play.
Obviously it's cool. I'm very proud of myself, but at the same time, couldn't do a lot of that without, some of those guys that I've been playing with all year, and obviously Guy and stuff, putting me in the right situations and giving me the confidence to kind of play my game and stuff. And yeah, so I mean it's awesome. I love it, but I'd rather be able to continue that into the regular season or into the postseason for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a lot of guys' gameplay has been elevated in Peoria this year. I mean, yourself, you've put up more points than I see, ever that you've done in your pro career. Even, Piotrowski's putting up more points than he has, and you got Marcel who's coming in and just doing things that rookies usually don't do.
Yeah.
I mean, is that all coaching, or is it just like or is it just team cohesion? Because the core group of you guys have been together the entire season. I mean, or is it both?
I mean, yeah, like I said, it's both. I mean, Guy would never like to say it's coaching, but a lot of us give him a lot of credit, just how much work he does, even behind the scenes and stuff. Always trying to help us, put us in the best situations. But then, I mean, like you said, I mean, I think we've had about the same power play unit all year. That's been, I think, number one for most of the whole year. A lot of us had a lot of success on that. And then, yeah, it's just, I think all the team just getting along so well and being so closely knit that, no one's really too scared to go out there and make mistakes, because we know, we'll have each other's backs and stuff. So everyone can play the way they can and play fully confident. And I think that's kind of why so many guys are having such breakout years.
Yeah, and you got a goaltender back there who I think played every single game this season for you guys.
Yeah.
That somehow you can rely on him every night. It's been between him and Brian Billett this season. Those two guys have just played so much hockey. I mean, what is that a little extra boost of confidence? Do you feel like maybe you can get a little crafty on your own end, or on the offensive end, because of him back there?
Oh yeah, I mean, we've said the whole year, I think our team has the best goalie duo. I mean, obviously Levy carries a majority of those games, but every time we put Barry in that, it's the same results. Him and Levy have such a good connection. They're always happy, positive about each other. So I think whenever Levy or Barry's in net, all of us are just very, very confident that we'll be able to just play our game, and they'll be able to keep the pucks out of the net for us.
Yeah, definitely. Do the guys ever buy you? I mean, 54 assists. Do the guys ever buy you a beer after the game or anything for dishing them all those goals?
You'd think, but no. You'd think, but no. Somehow I end up having to buy stuff.
Yeah, I just quit passing to them. Just start scoring the goals yourself then. I mean, that's what I mean. That sounds like a good idea in my mind, but again, that's why I'm not a professional hockey player. So this is your first season as well that you've had a letter on your chest, right? Or did you have one back? Have you had one before that?
I think I actually had one in Evansville, those 2 games, but I won't count that. But yeah, for sure, my pro year, this is my first pro letter for sure. So it's an honor, I should say. I know he doesn't hand those out to just anyone. So I know when he offered it to me, I was ecstatic. And yeah, I love having it, kind of pushes me to do more than just, play hockey, just kind of lead a little more, whether it's by example or, a voice in the room.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a lot of people don't realize, they think it's just a letter, but I mean, you're actually in a leadership role, and you're supposed to be one of the guys talking to the refs. I mean, granted, every player out there is talking to the refs, especially if there's a call against them, but I mean, it's more than what a lot of people think it is. And so, I mean, it's so congratulations on getting that this year too, I should say. I mean, on top of all your other accomplishments. So, but,
thank you.
I don't know. I mean, you got any good stories you can tell on anybody from the team or anything like that before I let you go? I always try to steal something out of people, but if you don't got nothing, that's all right. I can let it be. I know you want to enjoy the rest of your evening before it's game day tomorrow. So
I don't have too much dirt, to be honest. I don't know if I have too much I can share right now.
That's all right. Play with Casey a little bit longer. I'm sure you can get something.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say those are when I'll get some stories.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do got one last question. I like to know this as well as other fans do. What do you do in the off season? Hockey. Is that it?
I mean, Normally when I get home, I'll maybe take, a month or so off the ice, just, I should say off the ice for myself, like skating wise and stuff. But I mean, I like to get in the gym pretty much right after the season. I mean, even if it's just, beach body workouts or whatever, but I like to, stay in the gym. And then, for work, I run, I have a lot of like private clinics I'm running with kids. And then I'm also working with, it's called MPH hockey. It's a AAA hockey down in Minnesota. So,
Okay.
I work with that, and and then I'm doing the private lessons with kids from there and stuff on the
That's
side. So
awesome.
I'm always on the ice, but I'll normally take a month or so off, of putting the pads on and my own training and just kind of relax, play a lot of golf.
Yeah.
So
What's the golf
yeah, I got
scene
my
like in Minnesota?
it's pretty good. It's a lot of courses nearby. I mean, you have a good amount of them are a little spendy, but that's why I work during the week so I can play the nice courses on the weekends.
That's right. That's
So
right. That's your golfing money right there. I understand that.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
But, well, I think that's about it, man. I'm gonna let you go back to your night, and I wish you and the rest of the Rivermen the best of luck going in the playoffs, and maybe you can shut some people up this year. Everybody in their antics out there talking about Peoria choking all the time in the postseason.
Oh yeah.
So
I've heard. I haven't even been here for playoffs, and I've heard it way too
yeah,
much.
oh
So
yeah. I mean, every Peoria, everything about Peoria is number one most hated in the SPHL. That's why I like to have you guys
yeah,
come on because I don't hate
yeah.
you guys.
Oh yeah.
So,
I like it. I like it.
yeah.
I like it. Fires me up a bit. So
That's good. Exactly. You get that every little piece of bulletin board material you can get's always worth it.
yeah,
But
exactly,
but
exactly.
all right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and congratulations on a great season. And like I said, best of luck to you guys moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's awesome.
All right, great interview. Awesome player. He's just he had an amazing season. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview as much as I did. And let's move right along here. So let's talk Huntsville, Evansville. This is a series that I've looked into it a little bit. I don't know. I feel like everybody in the league says this is just Huntsville easily is going to win this one. But Evansville's just kind of I don't know. I really don't know on this one. Evansville's another one of those teams that they've kind of played up and down. They found some consistency towards the end of the season, but they lost Billet. They lost the guy that was playing in net for him for all of their games. That is huge right there. Not to say that the who do they got? I'm drawing a blank.
Chris Jansen.
Jansen. There we go. I was drawing a blank, but I was going to say Stead for some reason, but but yeah.
Nope.
So not to say he's bad, but I mean, losing a guy like that who you relied on all season long. I mean, he's played the second most games in the league, and it's for a reason because you can rely on him, and that's just a tough loss right there for the team. And then you got Huntsville on the other hand, who closed the season out on a very high note. I still say Huntsville probably has the best penalty kill because of the way they do it. They are so explosive. They do not sit back and let you set your game up. They go after you, and then they just breakaways. So you don't really, I feel like you don't get an advantage by going on the power play against this team. They're just, it's I don't know. Huntsville's looking very good towards the end of the season. Granted, they had hiccups down here. They were number one all season long, and now look at them. They're not anymore. They're number two, and it was in question. They could have been number four at the end of this weekend had the cards fell right. So, give me a rundown of Huntsville and Evansville series. Where are you at on that one?
I was talking to Tommy Pecoraro, the voice of the Thunderbolts, over the weekend. And when it was finalized on Saturday night, when it was looking more and more, we were still waiting on the final toll for the Huntsville game, but it was starting to look like Huntsville was going to beat Birmingham. And so we were talking, it looks like Evansville, Huntsville in that first round matchup. He was very confident about how that matched up for Evansville. And I think he believes that Evansville's physicality can knock Huntsville out of rhythm. And they beat Huntsville 3 times this season. So they feel confident about their ability to go up head to head against them. The playmakers that they have, Austin Plevy, some of their more recent additions too, guys like Derek Osick, who's got a pretty good wrist shot. They've added a little bit of beef on their defensive side as well. Corey Dunn, I think, has been a skilled player for them. Connor Chatham's been a really talented, the former NHL draft pick, has been a really talented weapon for them that they picked up in the middle of the season. And then Chris Jansen, you're right. Look, he's not Brian Billett, but he played exceptionally well on Saturday, despite his team getting outshot 40-18. And if it's not for, a game-saving goal by Brady Florent with 2 minutes to go, he's getting out of there with like a 37-save shutout. So I think Chris Jansen has shown that he's got that potential. The consistency is going to have to prove itself. He's only played about a half dozen games for the Thunderbolts, but Evansville's got some skill guys that can make plays. Austin Plevy, Coy Prevo, I think is really talented. Brendan Feasey was recently the league's player of the week. So I think they and they kind of rested a handful of guys trying to get healthy. But I do think that there's a little bit of confidence coming from that Evansville side. Huntsville obviously has a ton of talent. Hunter Vorva's had just finished off the best regular season in the history of the franchise, which is saying something because he started the season as the backup to Max Malasic. So Huntsville, the reason their penalty kill is so good is because they're so confident in their goaltending that they don't care that they're down a man in the zone. They can send somebody out. They're always opportunistic. They are looking for chances to expose you. And because they know their teams aren't expecting them to be aggressive when they're on the penalty kill, but you need to be ready for that. And all around, you just got great shooters. You've got Jacob Barber and Cy Nutkovich and Tyler Piacentini, Rob Dara. They got so many weapons that they can use to hurt you that they're not afraid to come after you, regardless of whether they're on the penalty kill or whether it's even strength. So going to be a fun series. This is the one I'm probably most intrigued by outside of Knoxville, Roanoke. But I do think that Evansville's got some confidence going into this matchup.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to take anything away. I'm just going to take the safe road on this one and say this is probably going to go 3 as well. But I do feel Huntsville will end up overcoming this one. They just got too many weapons. That's the way that I look at it. I just feel, if you can play them physical, you might knock them off their game. We've seen that happen a few times this year, but this is a team that is just the franchise itself is built to do deep playoff runs. And there's a lot of guys on here with, championship pedigree and they're going to elevate the play of these younger guys that just came in, I think. And I think that would make the difference in a game 3, but you also got Evansville, a hungry team. Austin Plevy, he's hungry. He felt that the COVID year that got shut down, he felt like that year was going to be a year they were going to make a long run. And he feels that's the way it is this year too. So I don't know. That one can go either way, and I'm with you. I like it. I don't have a favorite series. I think all of them are going to be exciting, but this one's definitely got something for me and for everybody. So the last one we're going to talk about, it's going to be 4 against 5, Fayetteville and Quad City. This is a series that's going to be, I don't know. Fayetteville can let you you can shoot 500 times on them and they're going to beat you. And Quad City has got a lot of speed up front, and they have goaltending. They're a team that can steal one just as much as Fayetteville. And like I've said so many times before, Fayetteville was my team to go to the finals all along. And I don't know if I'm right on that anymore. I don't know. They're looking good coming down the stretch. And they got scoring from the back end. They got scoring up front. They got it all. So it's going to be a good series to watch. And it's another one where, they're kind of spread out and you got to win. There's 3 Wednesday night games this week, and this is one of them. And so it's going to be in Quad City and then Fayetteville after that. So I don't know if Fayetteville can win that one in Quad City. I think the odds are going to be in their favor. Where do you stand on this series? How do you feel about it?
So I believe Quad City took 2 of 3 from Fayetteville a few weeks ago when they met for a 3-game series. That these aren't teams that play each other very often, but I like the series a lot because both teams have really sound offensive structure, but they also get scoring from their blue line. Joe Sova for Quad City, one of the higher scoring defensemen in the league. Donald Oliveri tied for the league lead in points by a defenseman. So both teams have some firecrackers on their team. You got Quad City with Marcus Ortiz, who's known for always wearing his heart on his sleeve, plays the game with a lot of passion. You got the goalie, Jason Pulaski for Fayetteville, flipping people off in the crowd over the weekend. Just absolute chaos, I think, could break out in this series. And then, of course, you have great skill guys on both teams, too. I think Taylor McCloy, Taylor Best for Fayetteville, the structure that they run offensively, what Corey Melkert has done has been excellent. I'll just go ahead and say it because I've already explained this on my podcast. Corey Melkert got my vote for Coach of the Year with the SPHL awards ballot. I think he's done an exceptional job with the marksman this year. And if it's not for that lull of them, going through all those suspensions and the COVID issues and the injuries, call-ups. They got hit so hard around the December-January timeline that if they don't go through that rut that they went into, they're easily a top 3, maybe even a top 2 seed. They were so close to even getting back to that despite all of that towards the end of the season. I don't know if anybody in the league's playing better than them right now. They've been really, really good. They do have solid goaltending. Brett Moran's been an excellent pickup for them in the back end. So they've got 2 goalies that they know that they can utilize. The best save percentage of any active duo going into the playoffs in the SPHL. That was something that they made known on their social media accounts earlier this weekend. So I think Fayetteville and Quad City could be a great series. And then, of course, the other end, you have Bailey Birkin and Kevin Resop, which is a fantastic goalie tandem in its own right. So I think both teams have a lot of potential, and I think whoever comes out of that 4-5 series, that's going to be a tough semifinal matchup for whoever advances and whoever plays against them. But that's a really compelling series that I think you have 2 teams that have similar styles with a lot of players that can make similar plays.
Yeah, it's going to be, this one might be one of the most hard-nosed series at all of them. I feel both teams, as you said, I mean, they can really bring it to each other. I'm interested to see if anything comes of Pawlowski doing his little flipping the bird to the fans thing. I know a lot of people want him suspended for it, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, was it really that bad? I mean, we've seen a lot worse. So, but I don't know. And if that does happen, it's really not a big deal if they give him a 1-game suspension, because like you said, they got the best, they do have the best goalie tandem in the league. There's no doubt about it. So it's not going to hurt him too bad. I doubt he would get set for all 3 if they did bring down a suspension, which probably by the time, I assume by the time this podcast drops, it'll already be known whether there is or not. But right now on Monday, when we're recording, we don't know. So it's all we're just looking, we're just speculating here. But yeah, so on that one, I don't know. I think if Fayetteville can pull that one off in Quad City and they get 2 chances at home, they're going to get it. If Quad City wins their 1 home game, it's a whole different series. This one I really feel can go either way, and I'm not picking a team. So everybody can just handle that. So that's the way that one's going. My team, I'll decide on Thursday. That's when I'll decide who's going to win that series.
All righty.
So, but that's it, man. That's all. I think we covered it. We covered everything that we could for this week. And I know you got things to go, busy. You got playoff prep going on. You got a busy week ahead of you, a short week. So I'll let you get off of here, and we'll try to do it again maybe later on in the playoffs, maybe after the season. Who knows? I'm always going to try to drag you into it whenever I can. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and maybe I'll come up and visit a Knoxville game in the playoff series, since I don't have anything to do down here around Birmingham anymore after this Wednesday.
Yeah, without a doubt. You need a media credential, you know who to call. But yeah, you got to get up here. If we're still in it, you got to get up here later in the postseason.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's it, everybody. That's it for the episode. Until next time.
You've been listening to the Inside the SPHL podcast. Got a topic you'd like discussed? Follow James on Twitter @FPHBulls. For the latest news on the SPHL and the rest of minor league hockey, download the Field Pass Hockey app, now available in the Apple and Android app stores.